This is a short recording to speak about something that I've experienced yesterday, and um, I feel to um unfold it out loud. Uh, so, usually, here where I usually stay by myself, and I've been staying here for on and off in the last 7 years, but especially in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been staying more here. And usually, I haven't, in these 7 years since I've moved here, I haven't interacted much with, the neighbors or the people around, because I just knew instinctually that as less as I interact with the people here, it's it's going to go, like there's going to be more quietness, and as less friendships that I make, let's say, is going to remain the atmosphere here more quiet, because usually around these areas in Romania, in the villages, people are like, really uh, like sticking their nose in somebody else's business all the time. They are gossiping all the time, and they are, making friends, but then always coming and, hi, how are you, how are you doing that, and what are you doing there, and it's like hours and hours of just, coming and just talking, and it's just, in my opinion, it's a waste of time and energy. And yeah, it was better for me I just anticipated this, and it was better for me. I took the decision to, you know stay free of engagement with the people around and the neighbors, and I just had, minimum interactions with them, polite, respectful minimum interactions whenever it was truly needed, and that's it. And exactly as expected, the atmosphere remained, calm. Usually there was, like, there are weeks in which, if I just stay here in this house and I do not go to the village, I see nobody, there is nobody coming. uh, the place was respected, and it was all right. But this was just a short introduction. Sometimes neighbor from, uh, bit down comes here to bring his cows for pasture, and sometimes, especially in some seasons like the summer now, uh, this neighbor might come once or twice per day to bring the cow here, and then in the evening he he comes to take her back, take the cow back. And yesterday evening he came here to take the cow back, and we started chatting a bit, because he has to mow, to cut the grass in some areas here, and we chat a bit about this. And then I've asked something about the tree that has grown here, and I didn't know what type of tree it is, if I should keep it or not. And he came into the yard here just to check the tree and to tell me what variety of it is, because he, being from this area, he knows the trees really well. And we, now we were closer to each other, and we started chatting a bit more, and he told me about some, bear that he encountered the beginning of this year. He encountered a bear when he was higher here in these fields, in these hills. He was with the cows on the hills, and he encountered a bear. And he told me, like, wouldn't you get scared of encountering a bear, because he knows, like, I'm sometimes going through these hills here. And I said, well, yeah, it's like, it's not necessarily, unscary, Um, but then this is what happened, because this was the introduction for what happened next. Like, then all of a sudden he started like, you know, trying to create, you know, a joke. And he said like, what if the bear comes to you and say, oh, you know, and he's like, yeah, I said something like, yeah, that wouldn't be the necessarily unscary, you know. And then all of a sudden what happens is that this man, he's like, he hugs me, you know. He's like, oh, and the bear comes to you, and he's like, and he, you know, and he showed me, he's like, but then he hugged me and he kept me hugged, and he's like, oh wow, it's okay. I, you know, tapped him on the back. But it's like I feel like even now I feel like I have this like sensation of tears in my eyes, because like, yeah, but why? It's like, why do people do this? Why why it's like, why did he do it? Like I felt like, I know it was a joke, and I know, you know, the man was, you know, innocent, perhaps, if we could say that, in his attempt. But it felt obvious that he just wanted, you know, to be close to me, to touch me, to hug me. Oh God, and it just I don't mind it at the physical level. I have no problem. It's like, okay, it was a hug, you know, but it's like there's something in me which remained a bit in pain, because it felt like, oh wow, it's so easy for somebody to invade my space, like like in this type of really close way, you know. And it's like paradoxically I've never felt when any type of invading of me, mentally, emotionally, or maybe physically, happened, I never felt mad on the other person. What I would feel constantly, it's a it's a pain directed at myself by myself. It's like I feel why like why do I act in such a way in which I do not know, or how, what do I do that I invite people to do this to me? It's like it's something in my energy, it's something the way I've talked to him, it's something in, you know, maybe I was too cheerful, maybe I was, although I wasn't, I remember I wasn't cheerful at all. I was actually, before that, I was also speaking about, you know, I told him, like, I told him the truth about, because in the talk, in the chit chat that we were having, he was complaining about the drought that has been, you know, around this area in these 2 3 years, and how nothing grows the same anymore. And I told him, you know, well, if humanity started to cut down the forests, and you know, look how they have been treating the earth now, the rivers have been drying up, and the forests, they are always cutting the forests, and we had everything we needed on this earth, but look how humans have been treating the earth, you know. And I allowed myself to be, you know, discontent, and so I wasn't all cheerful and nice and hey, Mr. La, 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 oh, welcome to my property. Oh, let me show you that. And although I was also cheerful, but I was also, you know, angry when that subject came about with the drought and how the earth was treated. And in any case, but the pain is like, oh, it's like, God, I feel so fake. Really now, I feel so fake. It's like I feel I have to fake it all day long. I have to fake it all the time, and this is like wrecks me from within in a way that I cannot describe why it's so painful to me whenever I fake it. So it's like I I need to say this. I think it's the first time when I'll say it so clearly, and apparently I'm saying it in our recording. It's like, God, Jesus, man, I'm so like alone. I have been so alone in this life. Almost nobody to truly talk to and truly be able to open my heart and my soul and everything I have inside to anybody and to be able to freaking speak to somebody in this world. So I have to say it in a freaking recording with a inanimate GoPro camera in my face, but here it is. So it's like, if I would truly act as my true self in this world, I could never be normal. I could never just chit chat. I could, like, if I would act as my true self, if I would have the courage to truly act as my true self in this world, it would be instantly something like a lot of mixture of intense wonderment and horror at the same time. It's like, and any human being that I would see, I would immediately shake him or her from the shoulders and ask, "What's happening? Where are we?" Or, "Hey, do you know where we are?" Or, "What is this? Where? Who am I? Can you help me remember? Do you know more? Do you know who am I? Do you kind of know what's going on?" Because I have no memories. It's like I don't remember and I'm missing something which I cannot describe. And can you help me remember? Can you, do you want to do this, or do you want to just, continue doing what you're doing? Can you help me remember? Is there anybody here who can? Do you know of the persons or people that can help me remember? Can you take me to them? This is what I would actually say to anybody if I would have the courage, but I don't have the courage. And anything else than this attitude, which is the true one, it's a fake. I could care less. I could really care less about anything in this realm. I could really care less. I could care less about, customs. Hello, good morning, good night, how are you? And I'm like that, and you're like that, and what have you've been planting in your garden? And I've been planting tomatoes. Oh, you have been planting cucumbers. Or what's the politics saying right now? Oh, they are invading, you know, Israel, or I don't even know what type of war is going on at this moment, if you can believe. I know it's something about Israel. But anyway, so politics, or sports, or medicines, or even things like spirituality and psychotherapy. Oh, what kind of therapy did you discover? Oh, I discovered this therapy. Oh, have you discovered that one? Oh, it's better. How does it work? Is it working on with your memories, or it's psychosomatic, or it's like, maybe it's like using the, does it lock you in a dark room and allows you to stay there and feel all your you know traumas and fears? Or does it perhaps enact, it's like a psychotherapy theater where everybody enacts a role, your father, your mother, and oh, did you discover the new one? Oh yeah, all right, I'll go see that coach, or that therapist, or that you recommend, since you've discovered. Oh, I'll go and that spiritual retreat. Or it's like, I could care less about things that happen in this world. I could care less about human relationships, really, now. Although me as a human being, I am valuing relationships more than food. I am valuing relationships more than, survival. Like, I care more about a relationship than my own well-being and my own physical survival. I'm the kind of person which is able to give its life to save somebody or to be there for somebody. Like relationships for me have been more precious than food, water, survival things or things of this nature. People have been usually more important to me, and relationships. But even these ones fall, on a second level than to my true being. Even human relationships, which were so precious to me as a human self, as this type of human self at least, uh, fall less than my true stance here as my true being in this body, which is just a question. It's like, where am I, and why is everybody acting the way they act, and why are we doing the things that we do, and why don't we speak the truth, and why don't we question together where are we? Like, why don't we talk about the most essential thing, like where are we? What is this world? Why can't we remember who we are? Why don't I know what a tree really is, independent of me naming it a tree? It's like the tree is not a freaking name. What is it? Why can't I have my senses of perception that I know that I could talk to the trees, for example, but I can't hear the trees right now? I can't see in the many other layers of reality that are here right now. I can't see and hear them anymore. Why? Where am I? Why am I here? This is what I would truly speak with anybody. But I do not have the courage, I don't have the courage to act in this way with these people from this reality, because it's something in me that has always tried to, wait to find somebody which I could feel I can speak in this way. And it never kind of encountered a being which I could open fully in this way. I've encountered some beings and I could open to some in some degree, but not fully. But then it's like when a neighbor comes and a usual individual from this world comes to me and starts speaking about these mundanities, like, he encountered a bear, cutting the grass, the drought, the politics, all of this stuff is just like, for me, it's like just talking nonsense, just wasting time. It's just a waste of time. But I do it, and this is where the pain that I hold in myself against myself, because that's the thing, I do it because I do not have enough courage to express myself honestly and freely, even to this neighbor. Why don't I make the courage to tell him what's truly on my heart? Why do I assume that he could not understand? Why do I think he would think me crazy? Maybe he will if I do not truly open. But I think that if I would manage to truly open in front of him and tell him, like, man, it's like, if I would be truly honest, since I was a childhood, I never knew where I was here on this earth, and I could never make a sense out of it, and everything seems insane to me. It's like everything seems, at least it's something like I look at like a a painting from Picasso. It's like you look at it and you can't understand why did he draw the head in that way and put the legs here and the hands there, and what, why does it look like this? I'm always like in an internal state of confusion in this world. It's like always like, it's like I'm not seeing properly. It's almost like I've lost my glasses or something, and it's like, what, where, why? It's like, why do people kill animals? Why do they kill themselves? Why can't we talk to the trees? Why are there are so many wild things that they are growing excessively all over, and then you have to cut them, and it just makes no sense to do this. Do we have to always abuse things and be abused by others? It's just like this is my true attitude inside. It's like, what? Where? Who? Why? This is how I truly feel, and it's a true painful confusion. It's not only like an amusing thing that I lost my glasses and now I'm not seeing anything truly anymore. And it's fun. It's unfun for me. It's really unfun. But maybe if I would have the courage to tell even to the most mundane, human being, like a neighbor, and I could tell him the truth about how I feel inside, and I could tell to him like, it's like, man, it's like, I do not know where I am, and I never knew since I was a child. I couldn't make sense of this world, and everything seems insane to me. Not only the draft, not only the politics, not only everything. Everything seems insane. And did you ever have this type of thoughts? Did you ever question things like this? Did you thought about this at some point in your life? And I believe that if I would have the courage to open myself more, as I said, even to these apparently mundane individuals, I think they could open up to me as well, because I believe if I would make the courage to be so raw and so honest and so pure with the people around me, they might meet me in a completely different way, and I might feel completely surprised of what lies behind the masks and the personality of even the most mundane individual. Maybe there are things there that even apparent mundane individual could tell me that they might live in like completely like, oh wow, yeah. Or who knows what could change if I could be so honest with another one. But I'm afraid to be like this. This is the thing, and this is why I have a grudge in myself against myself, and I see how I fake it all day long, and a neighbor comes, and instead of being so honest with him and showing myself exactly as I am, talking about the same mundane things. I am entering into the same role with him, Oh, and he now is telling me about how he encountered a bear in the hills here, and he got scared, and would I get scared, and I telling him like, yeah, maybe, who knows. And then he tries to make a joke and continue the role, and he hugs me, and then all of a sudden I feel like, oh God, this was taken a bit too far, Why do I do this? Why do I take this fakeness so far? Why do I enter into this game of fakeness and falsity, and I allow it to continue so far that now it's like my private self and my gets invaded and gets maybe my private self, internal self, gets corrupted, gets bruised, gets invaded, gets. Why do I do this to myself? It's like, why do I put myself into this situation just because I lack the the courage to say what I truly feel within and be my genuine true self, even in this reality, even with these people that they are playing roles all the time. Why do I enter into the roles with them instead of having the courage to remain genuine and true as I feel at my core? And I feel like I'm so afraid, man. I'm so afraid of being so genuine with people. I'm so afraid. And whenever something like this happens, that things are taken a bit too far and the roles are being taken a bit too far, and I allow these roles and these scripts to continue until I start being invaded or something wrong starts happening to my body or to my mind or to my soul here in this place, or to somebody I love or somebody I care for, then I realize like, oh my God, it's like I've allowed the scripts to go too far. I've went and I faked it and I've played the roles instead of being my true self, and now look what happened. I was nearly raped at some point, man. Like really, in this life I was nearly raped. Just and other things, like I've been through so much in this life just for not having the courage to be genuine enough and to stick for what I truly feel within. I've played the roles of other people. I've entered into their roles thinking that if I play as by what they need and by their roles and by their scripts and I'm playing nice, then they will take care of me. But it never happened. If I play the roles of this society, of this world, I tried it time and time and time again, and I've went into the roles of other beings, but it never worked out. Those beings in the roles, they never took care of me. Actually, they wanted, as much as I gave myself to the roles, they wanted more of me. They became sometimes obsessed with me. And they wanted to take me all, sometimes to the near point of raping me, or they couldn't get enough of me, they wanted even more, even more, even more. So that's when I understood, like, hey, wow, it's unhealthy and unright for me to play the roles anymore, and I have to cut everything and see if I can discover who I am on my own, because I still do not feel I have the courage to be so open and genuine and show myself, as my true self, to the people in this world. It's like, it's so compelling. Even if right now, as I'm recording, if the neighbor would come, I would enter into the role instantly. It's so compelling. It's instantly. It's like I cannot almost control it. My psyche enters into the role and starts playing the role with him. And then it's like, God, it's like I feel so fake. I feel so false. And this is why, by the way, this is why I have been saying that this world is insane, and everything pertaining to it is created to be insane, and it's created like a hell. Because if we respect the roles and scripts of this reality, and if we allow them to unfold through us, they will take us eventually to hell. They will put us through hell in a way or another. Either we are going to be raped, or we are going to lose everything that we have. We are going to get ill. We are going to, go through the worst of the worst if we follow the scripts. It's like, it almost feels like this is how it is with this reality. If you just follow the script provided by this reality and the mind that controls it, you will be trashed. You will be made to feel the worst of your worst. And it's like, either you accept that to be the case and you just go full in and you learn through pain, and you are prepared to learn through pain, which we all, by the way, need to learn this, because in a way or another we are all following the scripts, and those scripts are all taking us all through immense pain, immense misery. So just learning how to work with pain and learning through pain is a must, in my opinion, to master in this reality. Or if we want to stop learning only through pain, we have to be genuine and honest about who we are and express as our true self and start playing out as the roles, as the fake roles of this reality. So it takes a lot of courage to be honest and genuine, but not honest like you can have even honesty that is still part of the scripts. You have a scripted form of honesty. You have to be really genuine, I mean true, genuine, core honesty, in which you are able to truly be your true self, not your fake self, not genuinely being your fake self. No, genuinely being your true self here in this body and in this reality. Because we can also be genuinely our fake self. Because then you have the fake self, and then some other people, they are even faking their fake self. They take fakeness and lies to such a degree that they can't even play their fake self correctly, and they fake the fake self. So it's not about being genuinely about your fake self. It's about being genuinely your true self in this reality here. But that takes a lot of courage. At least for me, it takes so much courage and so much. It's not necessarily awareness. Because I've tried with this neighbor yesterday. I was in my state of awareness for some moments with him. I brought myself in the state of awareness with him. And it's easier, by the way, when I bring myself in the state of awareness, it's easier to, if not be able to speak as my true self, at least play by a fake role, but at least a more genuine fake role, if that makes sense. It's like I'm much more, lower on the fake role. I talk less and I only say some fake lines, let's say, whenever they are needed, but I'm not so much in my fake role when I'm in the state of pure awareness as I would be if I would be completely identified there, absorbed in what happens, completely forgetting myself and becoming unaware. So it's easier when we have the state of awareness with us, but that state of awareness is not necessarily, from my experience, guaranteeing that if I am in a state of awareness, then I will not play the roles. I can be in a state of awareness and then I can see how the roles are unfolding through me, So it's not only about awareness and being in the state of pure awareness, that's the one step. But then you need a lot of heart will, if that makes sense. You need a lot of heart purity and faith, because you need to believe in yourself with your will. You have to have willpower to see the fake roles emerging from you and to stand against them in a way, or to stop them in a way or another, or to, it's like a valve. You could allow your fake self to come up in a certain situation, or you can switch the valve and you can insert a bit of your true self more and more. So we need awareness, but then we also need true heart power, true heart will, and faith. And I insist on the word faith because this is an accurate representation. You have to have faith that you can be yourself and it will be all right. It will be fine, even though you know nothing of what is going to happen, because your true self is unscripted. Let's say you can't predict what will happen if you will be your true self in this reality. You can't imagine, your mind can't imagine it. There's nothing in you that can help you, give you even a clue, because your true self does not pertain to anything of this system. Your true self is something different than your mind, your soul, and your body. So all these three instances of ourselves, the mind, the soul, and the body, cannot predict what will happen next. And they are freaking out, all three of them. Your body is going to be tense, your mind is going to, try to stop you from being your true self, convince you of all sorts of things, and your soul will be in frenetic, terror and pain and fear inside. So you'll have to deal with like a machine, like a ship of sorts that is going like all the clocks on the the airplane, they are going like going over the Bermuda Triangle, like all the clocks like, oh, you have to deal with that when you want to be your true self. Everything is in alertness here. So now you have to, how do you do that? Everything being in an alertness here. This is why I say that you need true heart will and true heart faith. That even if everything is in alertness here, the body, the mind, and the soul, they are all alerted, you still say what you truly mean and you show yourself as you truly are, even though you have no predictions and you can't predict what is going to happen. Is the other person going to make like one of those faces like, or is it going to do something harm to you? Is it going to punch you? Is it going to kill you? Is it going to ostracize you? Is it going to, or maybe not, maybe it's going to have the most unimaginable response, which is actually what you always waited for. But we do not know. That's the pure unknown. That's the true pure unknown. When we are able to allow ourselves to act so honestly and so purely from our true self, we step in pure unknown. And this is really scary for the mind, body, and soul. They are all going to create extreme noise, extreme alertness, extreme tantrum to prevent us from being so genuine. And I can attest that I'm not as courageous, and I haven't been able to pass through this layer of tantrum that my body, mind, and soul is doing. It's only in rare occasions did I ever made this courage. And it's like a muscle which I've exercised it constantly, and I've been exercising it day by day. So it's something which I've been working on constantly, consciously towards. But I can see how I'm not even maybe 1%. This true muscle of faith and of heart will and of genuineness is not maybe even 1% developed. I would say maybe 0.1% developed. So, conclusion for this recording is that whenever we follow the false scripts, which are body, mind, and soul, they are programmed to make us predisposed at following the false script. So we are compelled deeply and powerfully by the programs of our body, mind, and soul to follow the false scripts. If we allow this body, mind, soul to work its way automatically, following this innate programmed scripts, we are going to get trashed. We are going to get wounded hardly, like really, really hard. We are going to go through intense misery. And we have to be prepared for that. We have to learn how to work with pain. We have to learn how to accept pain. We have to make pain our teacher. Because it's undeniable until a certain point when we would have learned how to truly control this machine, the body, mind, and soul, we would go through a lot of pain. And it's better to learn how to deal with pain. It's better to learn how to accept pain and learn from it. It's like having a car. Until you learn how to truly drive it, you will bump into a lot of things, and it will be painful. You will damage the car, you will damage yourself probably many times. This is why self-healing, let's say, it's necessary to learn how to deal with pain and accept pain, because you cannot heal from that which you refuse to see or that which you refuse to acknowledge. So if you refuse to acknowledge your pain, you cannot recover from it. This is why we have to learn from pain. We have to learn how to accept our pain and to meet it with open eyes. Like, we have to accept to feel our pain entirely. That's one thing. If we are going to follow the false scripts, we are going to have a lot of pain. We are going to feel a lot of pain, and we have to learn how to work with pain. Otherwise, there is no chance, from what I've been experiencing so far and from what I'm seeing, there is zero chance that we would ever be able to learn how to work this machine out and to control it. This is what happens when we allow the machine to work automatically. It is going to put us through a lot of pain. We are going to get raped, we are going to get violated, murdered perhaps, we are going to see loved ones dying, we are going to go through the worst of the worst. If, on the other hand, we want to take the other approach and we decide, I want to also start learning how the strength, power, and will heart to be my true self in this reality. If, on the other hand, we choose this path, then, in my opinion, surprisingly and magically, there is less and less pain on this path. But the thing is that there is less and less pain, but there is more and more effort. It requires much more effort to be so genuine and to be so real and to be so alive. It requires everything. All the faith, all the determination, all the heart power, all the heart will. All the, like, you have to have a pure heart, as pure as a feather. You have to be as light as a feather. Holding nothing back and showing everything the way it is, in complete purity. This is the true path, in my opinion. But it is less, it's less and less pain on this path. If done correctly, there is zero pain, actually, but it requires enormous effort. Enormous effort. Everything. It requires everything from us. All this, the faith, all the power, all the purity, all the determination, all the honesty, all the fiercefulness to see and meet ourselves exactly as we are and say what we mean for real and be what we are for real, independent of if our mind will freak out, our body will start to get anxious and tense, and our soul will be completely off with terror and panic and fear and traumas. All three systems, all three, body, mind, and soul, from this system will create a lot of noise and a lot of tantrum and a lot of panic and anxiety to prevent us from truly walking on this true path. And many times we are going to fall, let's say, prey to the fears of our body, mind, and soul, which will convince us again that it's safer on the false path. And that's a lie. That's always a lie. It's never safer on the false path. It just appears to be safe because the false path, they are ingrained within the body, mind, and soul, and they know this is the path that they don't know, and they know how to work with. The body, mind, and soul knows how to work with the false paths and the false scripts. And it's safer for them, but it's not safer for you, which you are the true driver. Because you are going to experience rape, murders, violence, losing of, homes, tornadoes. You are going to go through the worst of the worst. It's not safer. It just appears to be that. It's just a lie that, is there to deceive you, that is going to be safer to take those false paths. But you take them and you always end up being really, really miserable, really, really trashed. And if that's the path that you want to take, you take it, But I'm here to speak about something else. I'm here to speak about the true path and how can we truly develop the muscle enough, the faith enough, the strength enough to walk on the true path through our true self, with our true self. That's what my voice is about. So, the true path is the so-called golden path, is the so-called narrow path. It's walking in pure unknown. We never know what's going to happen if we are going to be 100% pure. And I can tell you, it's a really terrorizing thing. It's like stepping in an abyss. It's dark. You won't not know and see nothing of its end, and you feel like you will fall, and no one will ever even know anything that you even existed. You will fall to such a disgrace. You will fall to such a pit of darkness and hell if you do that correct thing, that you will be so swallowed by that abyss that no one will ever remember that you even existed at some point. All will forget everything about you, and you will be damned to eternal damnation and forgetfulness for eternity if you take the right path, the right step. This is how it feels, and I'm genuine about what I'm saying here. It's far from being an exaggeration. It's a genuine internal experience, which is experienced whenever I'm facing any correct decision, any correct step, any correct, even a correct word. It scares so everything in me that it feels like that's worse than death. Death is simple because you die. Something instinctually knows that my experience is going to continue, you know. I'm going to have another experience, but maybe not in this form. Dying is easier, but doing the right thing and accepting that pure unknown, pure abyss, that what appears to be like the pit of hell, completely dark, completely endless, a pit of oblivion where nobody will remember that I even existed, not even me, you know, and it's gonna be complete forgetfulness for eternity, or who knows, anybody else could have its own worst of the worst, you know. This is how it feels to, inside, whenever I feel in the face of a right decision, the true right decision, not the fake right decision, because in the false scripts there are these divisions, by the way, of the false right and the false false, you know. No, I mean the right. Whenever we are in the face of the right, the true truth, the goodness, the true goodness, oh God, it's gonna feel way worse than death. It's gonna feel like, you know, the end of everything. So that's what we have to accept. That's the nothing, that's the void, that's the abyss that we have to go through. And we have to accept that abyss, we have to accept to fall into it and make that right thing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna say the right word, you know, and I say the right word, and I accept to fall into the abyss. And then whatever happens, happens. But I can tell you that from my experience, whenever I've done this, and it's not has been in so many occasions, by the way, I can tell you that I'm not so proficient at this path. It hasn't been in many occasions, but whenever I've done this, oh wow, something miraculous happened. Something miraculous happened that I couldn't even imagine. It's like I was lifted from a pit that I thought I was falling into by invisible hands that I always knew, those hands. And then the situation turned into something that I couldn't even predict or expect or imagine. It wasn't necessarily good or bad. It was just something that I knew already. It was recognizable. I knew that. I became more natural. It's like I remembered more of myself and life and the other person and the situation. It's like something familiar about it, you know, like, ah, right, it's more natural for this to have happened. Oh yeah, it's more natural for, you know, that friend of mine to speak to me like this. That's how I thought you are, actually, but I couldn't point my finger. I always knew that you could be like that. That's your true version, you know. And it's like, it's more recognizable. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just you see more, you recognize more, you feel more alive, more true, more real. This is what the true path does, is bring you back. It brings you back to truth. This is why this dichotomy of good and evil, it only exists in the false scripts. When you start walking the true path, it's not necessarily good or evil, it's just true. It's just recognizable. It's like opening your eyes and you start to see more and more. You come to your senses more and more. You're like that guy from Memento, you know, that starts remembering itself more and more. This is the true path. This is what it does. It brings us back home to who and what we truly are, in our full knowledge of ourselves, full memory, full recognition. Well, the false paths, even though they are having this dichotomy of good and evil, it's never going to give you your memories back, your self-remembrance back. You will not remember yourself, even if you choose the good path or the bad path. Even if you choose to become the good guy in the false scripts or the bad guy in the false scripts, you will never remember yourself, because the false scripts, with their good and their evil, they are there to keep you in forgetfulness. That's the difference. And to step out of this forgetfulness, to step out of this limbo, to step out of this purgatory and world of the dead that we are living in, thinking that we are living in a universe of good and evil. We are living in a constant universe of death, where we have been living in a state of permanent limbo, forgetting ourselves for who knows eons of time. To step outside of that, you have to truly cross the abyss. You have to cross the pure unknown. You have to throw yourself in pure unknown. And the void, this unknown, this abyss, which is the void, is going to wash us of all illusions. The void is our escape. The void is our true solution. We have to allow ourselves to fully submerge in the void. Like if the void would be an ocean, the primordial nothing, from where everything stemmed from, you know, how it was said in the ancient mythologies, almost all creational myths of humanity speak of the primordial ocean of darkness, or the primordial nothing, the primordial ocean from which everything stemmed from. At first there was nothing, you know, just a void. And from that void everything was created, where everything that was created from that void, it was the world of illusions. It was the world of falsities. It was the false scripts. Everything that stemmed from that void forward, it was just a story, but a false one. So in order to get back to the real, which is behind the void, we have to go back again in the void, from where we came, from hence we came. Do you understand what this means? We have to go back to the void from where we came. We are illusions. We have to give ourselves to the void from whence we came. If we want the real, I mean, if we truly want the real. So this is why stepping in pure unknown, which is the void, which is this abyss that I'm describing, and stepping into it, that's what brings us truly home to the real. So what separates the real from the world of the stories and the world of illusions and the world of creation? And by the way, my view is, what the view that I hold 100%, is that creation in its entirety, it's a story and a falsity and an illusion ultimately. All creation. Doesn't matter if it's the simulated creation or the organic creation. All of it is an illusion. And what separates the entirety of creation, with all of its simulated realms and all of its organic and true realms, from the real, it's a sort of like layer of void. The void is what separates the real from the story. And us as story characters, if we want to go back to the real, we have to go back through the void, from whence we came, from where we came. We have to allow ourselves to become nothing at all. This is the pure unknown that we have to step into if we are truly genuine about going back to the real. And the void will wash us of all illusions, and the void will restore us to what we truly are. But to make this courage takes everything. It's the death of the deaths, because it requires us to die consciously, to allow our illusory self to die. It's not necessarily that it dies, it's just that we allow it. It's like we give to the world of illusions whatever we took from the world of illusions. It's like, here it is, take me, you know. It's like we leave behind whatever pertained to this world of illusions. What dies is just everything that pertained to this world of illusions, including our mind from this place, our soul from this place, our body from this place, probably. But I have to also add this in, that there is a paradoxical thing with passing through the void, because I feel there is going to be zero physical death. If we manage to pass through the void consciously, there is going to be zero physical death. We are going to pass fully consciously, and we are going to remember ourselves. We are going to pass through the void and we are going to remember ourselves, but I cannot tell you what this means. But I know for sure there is going to be zero physical death. I know, it sounds like, how can you live behind a world of illusions but without dying physically? This is how it actually is, but it cannot be described. You have to experience it. I've experienced it a bit. I know what I'm speaking about, but just a bit. It's just the tiniest. There would have been much more to say about this, but I'm going to end this recording here. I hope this made sense. The void is our salvation for the ones that they seek the real and they truly know that they are from the real and their journey is about getting to the real. For the ones that are still having things to accomplish and things to do and things to understand and learn in the world of illusion, what I've just said, it's gonna sound mad, it's gonna sound insane, it's gonna make no sense, and they are going to be completely repelled or scared about this. But for the ones that they have been called home to the real, the void is your door out. The void is here to wash us of all illusions, and whenever and if at some point we are going to be given the chance to step into the void, remember these words, take them with you, and if in that moment when and if you are going to be given the chance to step into the void, if you'll feel your heart calling you to do so, go there. Go there with all your faith or with all that you have. Abandon yourself into the void. Give yourself fully to the void. Trust that the void is your door home, because it is your door home.